I love springing this on you. This is a fun way to start. Welcome to Mixing Up Midlife. I'm Terry.
Oh, that was mean. You didn't even finish your
No, the spiel.
the spiel.
I haven't done the spiel a lot lately. I figure people know or they don't know. And if they don't know, they're gonna find out.
They're just going to
Anyway.
think we are a recap podcast.
But we are not. But we are
so much-
recapping the Golden Bachelor episode 5.
Because we
And
are
we
addicted.
Can't stop, won't stop. And that's what we've been doing lately. So, Melissa,
Yes.
give us the rundown. Tell us what happened in episode 5. Let's start it off strong.
First, I just want to say that it was another fun episode. It was a little more dramatic this time. Hearts are starting to get broken this time. It's not all fun and games. But I had a really good time. I watched it the afternoon after it aired. I was afraid to go on social media and see too much. It just so happened the same time I was watching it, I got a text from my 20-something-year-old daughter who was watching it herself. She was maybe about 15 minutes behind me. But it was really funny because this connection with the 20-something crowd, we had so many similar thoughts and opinions of the people. And she was really, really enjoying it. I just think it's because these women are great. What can we say?
I think it's so cool. My daughter hasn't gotten into it, which is a bummer. But our super listener, Carrie, hey, Carrie.
Hey, Gerry.
Left us a voicemail. She and her daughter watched it together. So we'll let you listen to that right now.
Hi, ladies. It's Carrie. So I was just in Hawaii for a quick promotion ceremony for my daughter, and we got to watch an episode of The Golden Bachelor. And let me share that seeing it through the eyes of 20-somethings really brought back the fun of the episode for me. So I was very blessed to be able to watch it through her eyes. And Sarah thought I could definitely be a Golden Bachelorette, but she said she is not ready to watch me cozying up with other men and you know, all that other drama that goes along with that. So we had a good laugh about it. It was really enjoyable, and I'm just really blessed that I got to get to watch it through the 20-somethings eyes, especially my daughter, who's obviously missing her father too, but she sees it is exciting and romantic for these 20-somethings to see these 60, 70-somethings really enjoying themselves. Thanks, ladies.
That's great. I do think it is giving, even though women that maybe don't end, because obviously only one woman ends up with him, and he's a prize, I'm sure, but he's not the prize for everyone. I think what they're probably going to come away with is the possibilities of finding love again, if that's what you want.
And I think we said it last episode that for the younger set watching, it really should show them that it's not a one and done. There's always options, and you can find your person. That person could be gone, but there's life after that person. And for some of the ladies on the show, they've had a couple of people, which I think April was a widower twice.
I feel like I know the least about April. But anyway, let's just get into the beginning of the show. And it starts off, I don't know why it starts off this way, but Terry, can you explain why they're doing the Torah
In the pool?
in the pool?
I don't know exactly why they're doing the Torah in the pool, except they're celebrating. I thought it was really cute.
It was cute. It was really cute. I noticed that. And I also noticed that Sandra is not in there with the other women.
Oh, see, I did not notice that. That's funny.
Yeah. Sandra's a little
Interesting.
bit removed from everyone in this episode. I noticed that a number of times.
She is, and I'm wondering if that lactose intolerance
Was keeping her out of the pool.
or if it was something more than lactose intolerance.
Yeah, I don't know. She
I
didn't
don't
get much
know.
airtime, and she didn't get
She
much
didn't.
time with the other women.
No, but as we predicted last episode, we said this episode we're going to see a lot more of Faith, and it was completely faith-based.
That's true. So they're at the pool, and Jesse, the host, who is not Jimmy Kimmel,
I
Terry.
keep thinking, and I still don't know his name. You said Jesse. I'm like, oh, that's that guy's
His
name.
name's
Okay.
Jesse.
All
They
right.
come, he comes to visit, and he tells them that at the end of this episode, 3 of them will be going home. So that's seems to be news to them and quite shocking. And from what I understand, this season is going much faster than other seasons. More people leave at the same time.
Right, and they're packing things into 1-hour episodes. It was a test.
I think so too. That's what I was going to say, is they didn't know if this was going to flop or not. They probably weren't going to invest too many episodes, but now they know.
Okay, so Jesse comes in and he says, what?
He says it's going to be an amazing one-on-one date for the chosen person, and I personally knew it would be Faith.
Of course.
Of course it was going to be Faith.
Of course it was going to be Faith, because she didn't get enough airtime last time.
Right.
And they definitely had a connection.
Exactly.
So he said it's a once-in-a-lifetime one-on-one date. Now, is it a once-in-a-lifetime one-on-one date? I mean, I guess.
For some people, yes.
And then Gerry comments, the adventure is working for me. I just had this in quotes, and I was like, of course the frickin' adventure is working for you.
He's having a blast. Can I tell you?
What is wrong with
they're
this?
like picking this
you.
stuff definitely based on Gerry's interests, not the women. Because Leslie was terrified on her ATV, and we find out that Faith is afraid of heights.
And yet, what do? They go on a helicopter ride. So they go on a helicopter ride, they cut into the women waving to them, and they're buzzing the mansion. Here was my question for you, Melissa. How uncomfortable would you allow yourself to be to do this type of an experience, reality show? So you said Faith is terrified of heights.
And you can see there's like times he's like having a blast and she has this terrified look on her face.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of funny.
If it was something you were deathly afraid of, would you go along with it?
I would not jump out of a plane. I don't have a desire to do that.
I'm with you on that.
I would never do that. But I would do things like a helicopter ride where I wouldn't. It's not something I would do on my own impetus. I would test my limits a little bit.
Have you ever been on a helicopter before?
I do not believe I've ever been in a helicopter. No.
They're terrifying. To me, terrifying. So I used to, we all know I was, or maybe we don't. We have some new listeners. Hi. I used to be a flight attendant for a Pan Am back in the day. Well, but one of the perks was we got these very cheap passes on the helicopters from, I think it was Lee Kennedy, to the city. And it was like the East Side heliport down in the 30s. But it was so noisy. And the takeoff is really scary. And you're like, I could go crashing into the river right now. This is my entire thought process. Did I still do it? I did, because did it take 30 minutes versus, or not even 30 minutes, versus potentially an hour and a half? Yes. I needed to get places and do things.
Yeah, but would you do it for a Bachelor?
Sure. Helicopter rides, they're terrifying, but they're not my favorite thing. I would not jump out of a plane for anybody. A bachelor, a bachelorette, my husband, the dog.
Just free falling to me, no.
Oh,
I consider myself adventurous, and free falling just has no redeeming value to me. It's not even thrilling. It's just like feeling like you're dying to me. That's how I picture it.
I did bungee jump once.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that was, and truly, I think that was an amazing thing that anybody survived that one. You know, a couple of years later, it was at like an amusement parky type thing. Bunch of people got injured.
Did you watch Saturday Night Live at all?
I did not.
We don't really watch it, but every once in a while we'll put on a little clip on YouTube.
Yes.
And I don't even know who the host was this week, guest host, but he was a comedian, so he's doing a comedian routine, and he was talking about in the 70s things they did for fun, and they're talking about amusement parks. And it was just this funny line where he's like, I can't believe we were going on the roller coasters that 2 hours before were going down the interstate.
Absolutely.
I'm like, it's so true.
Rolling right up.
Yeah, we'll just pull up the guy with the mustache, the cig hanging out of his mouth,
Yep.
clicking two things together. Here, kids, get on.
And the Yankee Doodle Fair still exists in our town,
Yeah,
Melissa.
we have one of those too. Viva Vienna.
Okay, so they take the
Yes.
helicopter ride. Leslie was having a hard time.
Oh, yes, they show Leslie, meanwhile, looking miserable.
Yes.
And I feel like something was triggered in that last episode with her. She mentioned about past relationship issues popping up. And I was thinking that maybe at this age, there is a lot of, I wouldn't say skeletons in the closet, but baggage that might come along when you are starting to have a relationship with somebody.
Oh my God, how could you not?
Right.
You've had potentially several meaningful relationships by this age.
Mm-hmm.
And if I believe Faith was divorced, right? She wasn't one of the widows.
Yeah.
I think Leslie as well.
Leslie had, yes, Leslie seems to be more divorces. I don't know about Faith. I do know that Faith does reveal to Gerry in this episode that she had a rough childhood, though.
Right.
But anyway, was there landing? Can I just say, she has this terrified look on her face. Gerry, his comment is, that was magical. He was so oblivious of her. He was giddy.
There's a lot of that with him
Mm-hmm.
where it's really quite about him. This concerns me for these ladies who are falling in love with Gerry. But as we did predict, Gerry and Faith hit it off. So they land on a helipad on a yacht. That would freak me out.
Yes,
that
takes it to the next level too.
Yeah.
She thought he was joking when he said they were going to land on it.
So they land, and then there's yet another hot tub scene.
Yes. And can I tell you, Gerry he doesn't even want to talk with her. He wants to just kiss her.
Kiss her. He shut her up with a kiss again.
He did.
Yes, I wrote that down, Melissa. I was like, oh my God. So this is the second hot tub makeout. First one was with Leslie, and he asked her to let go and connect with him. Was she holding back? I don't know.
I think he just wanted her to let go by making out with him. Yeah, and I was thinking that I'm sure he knows that his wife wanted him to be happy. But I'm wondering, would his wife have wanted him to be making out with all these women?
I don't know. Maybe to find happiness? Who knows, right?
I guess it's all in the spirit of finding true love.
That's right. So Faith comes back from the date. Gerry gives that date rose.
And Gerry does learn that he's as attracted to her inside as he is to her outside. I think at some point he made a comment that he wanted to find out.
Okay. Oh,
that was his goal for the date.
Okay.
And Leslie is continuing to look miserable.
Yeah, Leslie looks not happy, really sad. She's crying quite a lot at the mansion. She's beginning to let herself obviously fall in love with Gerry, and I think she's scared that her heart's going to get broken, and reasonably so. The funny thing is Faith comes back to the mansion, and she is just absolutely gushing.
Mm-hmm.
And all I could think is, what would Kathy say?
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. None of the women seem to be, well, except Leslie's crying in the corner, but the other women, first of all.
But I don't think Leslie was crying about her date with Faith. I think she was more crying about the fact that
she probably was, but they blatantly show Faith all excited, and then they cut to Leslie grimacing.
Right.
So they were trying to give it that at it. Who knows if that was happening at the same time.
That's true.
But they all have some more opportunity because the group date comes along, and in the spirit of letting out their, quote, inner child.
Inner child. What is an inner child?
I don't know.
I've never understood that term, your inner child. Like, is that the kid that you used to be?
I guess appreciating and having fun like you used to.
I still have fun like I used to.
Be called to call it that.
A child?
Yes.
Right.
It doesn't. You don't need to be a child to have fun.
No, maybe it's like that childlike innocence.
Maybe, but they're
I don't
going
know.
again. Speaking of amusement park games, although I think these are established, they're going to the Santa Monica Pier.
Yes.
And my thought was immediately, now again, if I was on this show, I would definitely do the roller coaster, and I would do those
Pirate ship, the one that goes back and forth.
Yeah, the things that
I
make
can't
you
do
nauseous.
those anymore.
But I was wondering, how come none of them are getting vertigo? Because that
that's-
is something that you get at our age.
Yes. Yeah, I used to be an incredibly avid amusement park roller coaster girl.
Mhm.
Loved roller coasters. The pirate ship, the thing that went like that, the centrifuge or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Loved that.
Roll
no.
up and do a beater of our insides, and that was fine.
I can't do that at all anymore.
No, I
barely,
can't even swing on a swing set.
I was going to say, I can barely swing on a swing anymore without getting dizzy.
That's right.
Why?
I thought it was an age thing because there's no reason why it happens other than that's the only thing I can.
Yeah, there's got to be something with, what is it, your amygdala? Is it your amygdala that does balance? No, it's probably
Maybe.
not. I'm just throwing words out there that I know nothing
Yeah,
about.
throw it out. I'll believe you.
Sure. I've
So
got some
they
land in Florida I can sell you.
They start out with the games, and what I noticed about the games was that Ellen's competitive
Ellen was
streak.
competitive.
Totally. You can see why she's that pickleball leader.
She is a competitive girl. Man, she was like, I'm going to win this. She was funny in her competitiveness. But you knew, did you not, at that point, who was getting picked? I already knew.
I knew 90%.
Okay. Oh, she was the only one you weren't sure about. Okay. I was pretty sure. So they go through the big amusement park. Teresa says she's falling in love with Gerry. These three women are telling Gerry that they're falling in love with him.
And I'm thinking that must be just a strange thing. I know they're partially doing it to save their place in the show. Because I think if you don't say it at this point, you're going home.
Maybe that's true. Teresa says it. Ellen says it. Leslie says it. He and Faith had the one-on-one. I don't know if she said it or not. And then he whispers to Leslie.
Oh, to Leslie.
You're my girl. He shuts her up with a kiss and then says, you're my girl.
Okay, yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
I know that happens
And I thought
later.
that
But
was
first,
interesting.
before he does that, he sees Teresa. And it's almost like she's begging him.
Oh, yes.
She's the pick-me girl. I
She
felt.
is the pick-me girl. I never thought Faith was the pick-me girl.
And both my daughter and I, independently, and maybe you picked up on this one too, was that his reaction was, how nice of you to say.
I did. What is he supposed to say? What do you say?
I
when
actually
somebody's
put
like,
a comment down. Maybe it was after Ellen, because they all are cornering him basically to profess their love. This is their last ditch effort. And at the point he actually talks to Ellen, I'm like, he's run out of responses to this.
how could you not? It's so funny. Susan pulls him aside. You can tell there is literally nothing between them.
No chemistry. Yeah.
That it's so friendship based.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote down, Susan's like your fun best friend. I could see her and Gerry being really great friends forever.
Right.
But there was no chemistry.
No.
Are we up to date with everything?
Yeah, we jumped
Did
around
Faith
a little
say-
bit. So,
But did Faith say that she wasn't falling in love with him or not? I didn't see that if she did.
I didn't see. They didn't have a one person point of view from her after that.
Okay.
That.
Okay.
So when he goes to see Ellen, I think it was Ellen he calls, she's safety and security.
Just
Oh
what
no,
you
that
wanna
was
be-
maybe that was Susan.
Oh yeah, just what you want to be
That's
called.
so-
Safety and security. No.
Mhm. And yes, he accepted her. Leslie told her he's your girl.
Yeah,
And
he
Ellen,
does.
So Ellen's the last one that tries to make her plea for him. And
you're not wrong. That's exactly what it is.
It
I
is.
hate
It's
this.
like Hunger
It really
Games.
is. And they're like, we have to leave it out on the line now. And I guess that's true. If they're really feeling these things and they really want to be with him, then they do have to lay it all on the line. Because wouldn't it suck if you really felt that way and you didn't say what you felt?
That's right.
Right?
Ellen not only gets to talk to him, she gets a roller coaster ride with him. So all the more better for grabbing and cuddling and that type of thing.
Right, except Melissa, did you notice that she grabs him for a kiss and pulls him in?
Oh, no, I didn't notice that.
It was like not reciprocated, and I thought
He had made his mind up at that point.
He had, for sure.
Yeah, poor Ellen.
And
so his response to her, the one that I said he's run out of things to say, was, "That touches me deeply. I feel it so much." He's basically saying, I feel that you love me so much.
I feel it so much.
His response basically could have just been, I know you.
Well, that's it. Like when somebody,
I love you. I know.
I love you. I know. What? Or I love you. Thank you.
Have you ever had a response like that?
I'm trying to remember.
That would be interesting for our listeners to think about.
Yeah.
Have you put your heart out and had a response like that?
You know what? I am sure I have, because I would put my heart out all the time and I felt very deeply about things. Mm-hmm. I also know I was on the other end of saying,
yes, I've more been on the other end of it because yes. I don't really allow myself to be put out there until I'm sure.
Yeah, I definitely have said thank you a couple of times, and that was when I was younger. What else do you say? Just in general, what do you say to somebody when they are giving you their heart and soul? It does not have to be romantic, but say somebody is like telling you how they feel about something and maybe you don't feel the same way about it. How do you respond? You want to validate their feelings, but you don't.
I validate your feelings on that.
Oh, that's harsh. I validate that. I don't believe that, but I validate you believing that.
Or sometimes when people say, I hate not to bring religion into it, but not everybody believes the same thing. And some people are just adamantly, like the people who sometimes say to the recent widow or widower, they're in a better place, or they're in God. Like that. You don't want to unvalidate someone who maybe really believes it, but it puts you in an awkward place of not knowing how to respond because you might not have the same type of strong beliefs.
That's a really interesting take, but it doesn't answer the question of how do you respond? How do you respond to that? Politely, but in a way that kind of shuts it down. This is something I think we need to figure out. Or am I
we?
I don't know, maybe not.
I don't need to figure that out because no one's going to be professing their love for me.
No, it's not love. See, that's what I'm saying. It's just in general. Like if somebody has a way, forget it. Moving on.
I think every situation is different.
Of course it is.
Depends on what they're saying.
Moving on. At this point, I wrote down, I think Ellen's going home. And then Ellen, in her confessional, or whatever they're called, says, my heart is telling me that I will get a rose. And as soon as she said
then you definitely know
I was
she's
like,
going home.
Oh, she's totally going home. So it was between Ellen and Teresa. And you knew it.
Yes.
Who do you prefer for Gerry? Ellen or Teresa?
Who do I prefer, or who do I prefer for Gerry?
For Gerry. Who do you think would be a better fit for Gerry?
I think Teresa's better for Gerry.
Who do you prefer? Ellen.
I prefer Ellen.
Correct. I'm with you. Again, there's something about that meekness of Teresa that I don't think she's meek. I'm beginning not to trust her very much, which means nothing. I don't know her.
I think we'll learn a lot in the next episode. Actually, let's not get ahead of ourselves because we haven't even said who's going on. So we do have the rose ceremony. We know half of them will be going home. And two roses?
Faith has the first rose, so she's going to hometown. Two more women get hometowns. Then he gives it.
Were 2 roses given before the ceremony?
No.
Oh, he was supposed to give a rose at the
At the group
date.
date.
And it was sitting there, and he got them all together and said he just couldn't decide. And
That he was going to give it to the next day, and he hoped they all understood. And they were like, of course, you take your time and think about that. Okay, so Faith has
me.
Yeah. Faith, think a lot about me. Faith has that rose, 100%. She already got the first rose. Rose ceremony comes. Leslie gets that
and the
first
ladies
rose.
Look gorgeous.
They did. They looked
just want to add that.
beautiful. They all did. They really did. So now it's between Teresa, Ellen, and Susan to get that last rose.
And Gerry walks in, and I did feel bad for him because I do think he was needing to think about it. It wasn't for dramatic effect that he didn't give the rose out. And he walks in, and he looks like he's a little ill, actually, because he says he feels bad because he's responsible for holding their hearts in his hands. And
he's not wrong.
You're not wrong. You joined this game for this reason. But
And the ladies know that this is possibly the end result. I think probably what they didn't know is they would actually develop feelings.
And I do think Susan and Sandra are like, see ya.
Yeah.
They knew it.
I don't think there was a deep connection. We've said this. We love Spicy Sandra, but there wasn't that really deep connection. I think she was trying to, for the camera, make it something. I don't even think Susan was trying.
No.
I think she was just like, hey, buddy.
Right.
To me, it seemed like that to me. And honestly, I'd like Susan and Gerry to be friends for forever, like I said earlier. So
Leslie gets the first rose.
And then Teresa gets that last rose, and Ellen is devastated. So he asks to walk Ellen to the car, and she's upset. But she talks about how this experience has given her optimism that she will find love again. And I like that for her.
Right.
And I hope that happens. And I think there will be some 20-something-year-old or some 50, 60-something-year-old that shows Ellen to their grandfather or to their brother or to their friend who's a widower.
Right.
And says, you should really meet this person. I think that could really come out of this.
Yeah, no, I think she probably would say, and I think she did say that it was worth it to do it. So
I think she did.
It's a good thing. We've learned that it's okay to make ourselves vulnerable at this age.
Yeah, it's hard. Listen, they've lost people for the most part, and they've experienced devastation. And so this was probably not as devastating because they didn't know him as well. But still, allowing your heart to open up, I think that is the thing. I don't know if we've been there, done that. Don't know how I'd feel about it. But I think I like that possibility. I do like that possibility. I thought about that. My mom was 72 when my dad died, which they were very young. And they were young 72s. That was the other thing. They were very active. And I think some things happened in my family after that. My mom had one of my siblings living at her house for the rest of her life. And I think that really kind of prevented her. And I think it would have been good for her. We had a talk at one point, like where she was thinking of dating, and I kind of wish she had had that second chance at love. I really do. And it's not fair of me to say that having my sibling living at the house totally prevented it, but it put a little wrench in it.
And you have companionship.
That was it.
She didn't so much.
Exactly. So then we go to the very end, and here is what I am going to miss. Every single one of these ends, except for Natasha's first comment when Natasha got let go, when Natasha had the really funny one about, You need some chairs for the ceremony.
yeah.
That was funny. Every single one Susan has been in. So she's obviously really funny, right?
Right.
So they all say their goodbyes, and Susan says, "Stay out of my boobs."
Right.
She's just funny.
She's
just funny.
She's funny. So, yeah, we hope to see. Oh, maybe there's some nice interviews. I saw something somewhere where it said she wanted to officiate his wedding, which I guess would have happened already.
Maybe not. They could just be secretly dating, right?
Yeah.
They don't need to get married right at the end.
But
I think that would be awesome. I think that would be awesome. I really do.
Because if you don't remember, by the way, her job is wedding officiator.
Yes.
I think she's done other things, but that's what they show when they do a little clip underneath of what her job is.
That's kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah, she would be really good at it too.
Cool thing to do. Talk about like love, and she seems theatrical, like that she can be theatrical, so I think it would be good. And she seems funny. So I think that could be good too. So that's it for this recap part. Hometowns are next week. They come up on Thursday night. We'll record after that. We'll put it out after that. So y'all will know if you're watching what's happening. But we're going to keep our little recap going. Yeah. It's fun. But meanwhile, what else is going on in Melissa land?
Speaking of love, new relationships.
Excuse me?
We might be getting a new love in our life.
Oh,
because
a puppy
was born. Actually, 3 female puppies were born.
Oh.
And our breeder is assuming one of them is ours. So
that's so exciting. So when do you, 8 weeks, 10 weeks?
If it's 8 weeks, I backed it up or looked ahead. That's literally Christmas Eve. So I don't really know. We're obviously not going to be flying that day.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'd be getting a little earlier or a little later.
So are you going to be picking up, or are you having
any
a nanny?
of those details yet.
There's a lot of, or is your daughter going to fly from San Diego
She's already
to
volunteered.
Colorado to
a little stopover,
Virginia?
maybe.
That's exactly right. That's so exciting.
Yeah. I'm a
my
little.
Goodness.
I literally just found out, because we haven't really been confirming it in our mind until we heard this. And now I feel like I'm pregnant.
Yeah, a new baby. You're waiting.
How is your baby?
She's spectacular.
Yeah? You recommend us doing it at this age of our life?
Yes. Yeah, I do. It's rough. The puppyhood stuff is not easy, but your husband's always been such a great trainer. I think your family in general, you all train the dogs so well. Golden retrievers are fantastic dogs who are so biddable that it's much easier.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, but I think that's so sweet. Yeah, I like it. No, I would not have my life any differently.
Good.
I would absolutely. She has brought so much joy to our lives. It's incredible.
Oh, and can I just say that on our way home from our trip this week, we stopped yesterday in Pennsylvania to see my husband's mother, who is not doing well.
I'm sorry.
She's in memory care. She's not there.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's so rotten.
But we came upon her in the group activity room, and we brought the dog, Bailey, in. And can I tell you the magnet that she was for these other people? Not so much for his mother. She did pet the dog and everything. She didn't know who we were. She obviously didn't know who the dog was, but she still had it's like almost an instinct to reach out and pet. But other people who were a little bit more totally there were so happy, and you could tell they've had dogs in their past, and they were just talking into it, and It made a lot of people happy that day.
Oh, and she's such a good dog.
Yeah, she did well.
That's great. Oh, what a joy. We actually gave my mom, because my mom was also in memory care, we gave her what's called a fidget kitty. So it's like a stuffed, I don't like, almost like a hand muff that sort of looks like a cat.
It looks like a cat.
But you can, yeah, but you could put your hands in it, and it had buttons and zippers and things that she could just fidget with. My mother loved that thing. It was like really soothing for her. I know, supposedly.
Is it specifically for
it is.
Alzheimer's?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. And so somebody had said you might, because she needs to do things with her hands.
Oh.
So you might want to look into that. So I bought her one. She loved it so much. It was great. Like, it was very comforting for her, which was amazing.
Oh, that's nice.
So, Melissa, you and I have not done our own real weekend watch in a while. And I just want to tell you that you make great weekend watch suggestions. You told us to watch Drops of God,
which I can never remember the name of it. I think I probably told it Drops of Heaven. I've called it Blood of God. I've called it Blood of Heaven. But I'm glad you know the name.
Drops of God. And you said, this is so great, especially because it takes place in France, and it's in French, English, and Japanese. So it takes place in France and in Japan. And it was such a great series. Both my husband and I loved it. But tell what it's about.
Premise is that it's an estranged daughter to her father. She's living in America, right? She's in
Paris.
No, she's in Paris. Okay. And he was in Japan then? Yeah, he was in Japan. And he basically calls her one night and says, I need to see you. I'm on my deathbed. By the time she goes to see him, he's gone. But
which is that night. She leaves that night to go see him.
Yeah. In that short time frame. But she finds out that he has this huge, what would you call it?
Very rare wine cellar.
A huge
wine collection. 87,000 bottles or something like that.
But he is not just going to give it to her. She has to compete against one of his prized wine students or whatever to get to see who deserves it. And it's all about how interpreting the wine, understand, like they have to take a sip of wine and say exactly all the ingredients in it. It's like one, so it's a series of different tests, and it goes through, other things come out, there's a lot of twists, but that's the premise of it, and it's really good, and it's beautiful to watch too.
It is beautiful to watch. It also made me think about that connection to smell, because they do say that sommeliers have a lower rate of Alzheimer's because smell activates something in that memory core that really helps stave off. So my husband and I keep talking about this because he's got a terrible sense of smell. I have a wonderful sense of smell. But it made me wonder, could you actually train yourself at this age to have a sense of smell? And if you noticed in the show, they have this big, it's like a wine kit. It's called something. I'm going to have to go back and look at it, but it's this big kit with 50 different scents all bottled up, and you have to guess the smell. And then you add that to your wine knowledge, and when you taste a wine, there's all these different things that you go through. You sniff, you aerate.
He did that to her when she was a child.
Yes.
Oh, and to make matters worse, is she starts the show, she does not drink.
A little difficult. But I thought it was just such an interesting concept, and it really did make me think, can you develop that sense of smell later in life?
I think we need to figure that out in a future episode.
I think we need to definitely look at, can wine tasting be learned at this age and stage? And not just wine tasting, but discerning scents out of wine. So maybe look for that coming down the pike a little bit.
Yeah. So what was Drops of God? on? Can you remind the listeners?
It was on Apple TV Plus.
Okay.
Yeah, it was so good. There are 8 episodes. I immediately looked to see if there was a second season in the works, and they all said it's too soon to tell. It was fantastic.
So it was brand new.
Yeah, brand new. September 2023 is when it came out. And
wow, I didn't
as
realize
you
that.
said, it was based off of a manga, a novel. So a graphic novel. All right. So one more thing.
Yes.
Going back to, we're talking about wine. I actually want to re-recommend doing it now because it can take a lot of time. The drink I made last year for Thanksgiving, which is a clarified pumpkin spice latte milk punch.
I might do that this year.
It's so good. It has coffee, it has rye, and it has rum in it, and lots of lemon juice and spices. And it is so good, but it takes a good 3 days to make.
Are we having to think about Thanksgiving already?
Yes, because it's in like 3 weeks.
Oh, jeez.
Or 4 weeks. I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? But mine's all made. It's sitting in the fridge. The best thing about it, these drinks are refrigerator stable for quite some time, supposedly shelf stable as well.
Well, you're going to have to remind us of that recipe so we can do it.
I absolutely will. I will put the link to the recipe in the show notes, and possibly I might do a blog post on it.
Great.
Okay.
How exciting. And I don't know if anyone's gone to our YouTube yet to see us live in person.
Yes.
So will we be putting this episode up?
This is going to be up on YouTube as well. We're trying to get ourselves out on YouTube. We're still not studio ready, but it's better to do than not to do.
Exactly.
Right?
Just do it. Don't wait till
That's right.
everything's perfect. That's what we say. That's our motto.
That is at learn on the fly.
Exactly.
As always, you can find us on our YouTube, but you can find us on Instagram, Mixing Up Midlife. Obviously, listen to our podcast wherever you can listen to podcasts. Make sure you hit the follow button. And if you can, give us a review. They really do help. You can also join us in our Facebook group. That's Mixing Up Midlife. We'd love to have you over there. We will often put in show topics, things that we've talked about. Melissa's great at linking articles over there, things that interest you.
I don't post on pretty much anywhere on Facebook except in our group now. It's the only fun part of Facebook for me.
Yeah, so if you have a topic or something that you're interested in talking about, definitely share it with us in that Facebook group. We'd love to hear your comments. And like our super listener Carrie did, you can always leave us a voicemail on our website, Mixing Up Midlife. It will cut you off. Just leave us another one. I've tried to make it 2 minutes. It won't let me. I'm sorry. I think it's like 45 seconds max on one.
Just press redial. It's fine.
There you go. That was a fun recap as always, Melissa.
And I hope you all had a wonderful Halloween, just like me.
Because Melissa loves dressing up. Have a great week.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Better. No? Oh, no.